warm fuzzy for me now. It's like CD4 counts, viral loads. I'm like, I'm so used to it. It's not a scary thing at all. But, oh, there's Brenda. Okay, so I'm going to hit that, and we're going to go. Sorry for the other comments. Go live. What am I doing wrong? Oh, there. I got it.
God,
I got it.
You almost reported and blocked her.
I almost reported and blocked her. Okay, she's got to accept. There she is.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hold on, there we go. Because if I'm bending down. How was the show?
I'm actually kind of disappointed in it.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like they just did it was like underwhelming. I don't know. I wasn't impressed.
Was it the first time you'd seen it?
No, like I've seen the movie, but like the live action on TV, like I just expected more from it.
Oh, okay, I've only seen it on YouTube because I didn't know that it was about AIDS and HIV and AIDS. I had no idea. Like somebody said, how did you not know that? I'm like, I had no idea. So when I heard that,
well,
I was like,
it was so funny. I went and I watched it at my friend's house with like her family, and I've known them since high school, and like it's like well known, like everybody knows that I have HIV, and like it started to come on, and her sister had never seen it before, and like she knew that it was about AIDS, but like her sister turned to me and she's like, "Have you seen this movie?" like, my friend just looks at her and was like, You know that she's HIV positive, right? And she was like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean she's seen every movie about AIDS. Like,
it's true, right?
It is true. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah, we're tuned into everything HIV. But I mean, it's funny. I felt really stupid that I didn't know that it was. I was like, I had no idea.
I didn't until I only watched it on Netflix. I want to say like 5 years ago or something. I had no idea it was about AIDS. Like, I was watching it with my brother. He had told me for years, like, you have to see Rent, blah, blah, blah. And I was just always like, I don't care about Broadway. Why would I watch that? And then I finally watched it with him on Netflix, and they, like, started talking about AIDS. And I was like, what is this about? And he was like, you didn't know it's about AIDS? I was like, no.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I have so many questions. Okay, so I only told people that you were HIV positive, but I did not tell them anything about your story. So, Okay, tell us how you got HIV.
Okay, so I was born with it. I contracted it from my birth mother at birth, obviously.
Yeah. And are you with your birth mother still or no?
No, I was adopted when I was 1.
You and your brother together?
Yeah, so my mom had 6 kids, and her first baby passed away. We don't know what happened. It's like reasons unknown. I think it was drug related.
Wow.
And then she had the other 5 of us. And at one point, we were all together in foster care, like in the same family. And then our foster parents adopted me, my twin, and my younger brother together. And then my 2 older siblings went and lived with our biological family.
Do you ever see the older ones?
No, we used to visit like when we were younger because they lived in New York, and I'm from New York, so like we weren't that far apart. But they live down in Florida, so I don't really.
Okay. So you were with your biological twin and your other brother. You grew up with those 2, with both.
Yeah, the 3 of us were adopted together. Yeah.
Okay, so you told me something about mothers who deliver who are HIV positive and don't know they're positive, and then when they have twins. Because your brother is HIV negative. So tell my audience and your audience, because I see more people have joined, they're probably your friends too. Just because you totally enlightened me. I had no idea about this. So how come you're positive and he's negative?
So I'm actually the only one of all of my mom's kids who contracted HIV from her. I think that has to do with the timeline. Like, I think maybe she didn't have HIV until before I was born. I think she got it in between me and my sister.
Okay.
But it makes sense because in 96, when I was born, statistically, the chances were 1 in 3. It was 33%. So there was me, my twin, and my younger brother. So statistically, I was 1 in 3.
Right.
But I think the reason why in theory, I mean, they know that babies contract HIV at birth. It's not before, like it's not in the womb. And they think that's because of how much blood the baby is exposed to. it is, like, makes the most sense. Like, that's the most accepted theory.
Because you were the one, you're the first one through the birth canal.
So with twins, they think that the firstborn is exposed to more blood, more fluid, like all of that stuff. So I was exposed to more. I also was failure to thrive. Like, I only weighed 2 pounds.
Oh.
My brother was a lot bigger than me. My mom was also on drugs when we were born. Like, it was drug induced. We were 2 months early. So there were a lot of factors.
You're a miracle.
But yeah, my doctors always told me that.
That's nice.
But, like, regardless of those facts, you see this a lot in twins, where the firstborn is HIV positive and the secondborn is HIV negative. Yeah. So they think it's because of how much fluid and virus the baby is exposed to.
And I know I have a midwife in our group, because you're in my private group also. And she was explaining to me, because she's HIV positive, that it's it's through the birthing process. It has nothing to do with the baby in utero. Because I've always thought, I didn't even know until she told me that
and the thing too, I was actually thinking about this after I talked to you a little bit about it, is we refer to babies who were born with HIV or contracted it at birth as perinatally infected babies. But perinatal means in the womb. So that doesn't even make sense. But it's like that's what we're called. Like,
right. So if
it may have been that they deemed that term back then when they didn't know.
Oh, okay.
But now they know. But the term just stuck. Like, AIDS babies just stuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yeah. A lot of things have stuck that need to change. Sure.
I was technically an AIDS baby, but if you go through all of my charts, my CD4 has never been close to 200. Wait. I've never had AIDS.
I was going to ask you that. So you never did. Okay. Oh, wow. That answers one of my questions. Okay. So you grew up obviously having to take medication. Did you have to take medication as being like a toddler and all the way like through elementary school and what did you take?
I took the most disgusting medicines in the world. They were all liquids. They were the cocktail. So it was 3 different liquids. The one was called Calatrava. A lot of kids took this. It was like 40% alcohol. Like, it was disgusting. Oh my! You had to mix it with like yogurt or pudding. Like, you couldn't just take it as it was. But nothing masked the flavor. So, like, I literally had to eat the most disgusting yogurt for like dessert every night, and it was nasty.
You took it. You had to have it every day. Like, once a day?
No, twice a day, morning and night. Yeah.
Did you wonder why your brothers weren't having to do this when only you had to? I mean, when did it finally hit you? Like, why is this only me?
So I was 6, and like I kind of knew for a really long time. Like, I was very, very aware and like just very smart as a kid. So I always knew that there was something wrong, and like I was always kind of aware of the fact that like my mom was sick. Like, I just knew things, and I don't know how I knew them, but I just did. I don't know if I just eavesdropped on my parents all the time or what. Yeah. But I just knew things. And so I was like 6, and I went to the doctor one day, and I just remember thinking, like, what is going on? Like, why do they ask me these questions? Why do I come here all the time? Why do I always have to get blood drawn? Like, and we left, and we got in the car, and I literally was just like, Mom, what is wrong with me? And she told me.
Wow.
And she kind of, her reaction was like, what do you mean? Because apparently she told me that I knew already. But I don't think maybe like she had told me years before that, but I just never comprehended it. Like, HIV never stuck in my brain. So then like at 6, when I asked her that, I was ready to understand like the name of it and like what it actually was. So that was how that happened. And I just kind of asked, like, why is it a Ryan White clinic? Like, who is Ryan White? Like, what is all of this stuff? And then like that was it. But obviously she told me like, you have to keep it a secret. You can't tell anybody.
Okay, that was my next question. So she told you to keep it a secret. So when did you understand why you had to keep it quiet?
Not really, and I actually didn't.
You're like,
yeah, so I was in 2nd grade, and I just like, I don't know how long after this happened it was. I just remember it was like fairly like recent after that, and I was like, on the playground at recess with my best friend one day, and like I told her as a secret, like I was like, you can't tell anybody, like bad things will happen, but like blah blah blah, because she was dying to have me sleep over her house, and my mom kept saying no, and it was because I had to take medicine, like I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers, and my best friend kept being like, well, why? I don't get it, like blah blah blah. So I finally just told her, like, I have to take medicine because I have a blood disease, and that's it. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
What a good way to say it, a blood disease.
I didn't say HIV. I said I had a blood disease. Like,
and was she satisfied with that answer? Your friend?
Yeah, but then she went home and told her mom.
So then her mom, did her mom?
Her mom never said anything. No,
oh, okay.
She like called me later that night and told me that she told her mom, and she was like, "But don't worry, like my mom understands," and she told me that she won't tell anybody.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. Like we never ever talked about it again. I think I actually told her that I was lying and it wasn't true, because I realized that like this wasn't a good idea.
But you were able to remain friends. The mom didn't change anything between the two.
Nothing. Nope, nothing happened. Yeah.
Did you ever have any stigma from teachers or other kids while you were growing up saying, you know,
nobody
play with her?
In the school district knew.
Oh, they didn't know. Okay.
No, the school district didn't know. Yeah.
Because your medication didn't affect you while you were at school. You didn't have to take anything at school.
It actually, so I took it before I went to school, and I took it after dinner. But I always was in the nurse's office feeling sick. Like, I always had headaches. I always had stomach aches. Like, and I didn't know what was going on. But like, medication. I think it was side effects. Yeah. Because I had all of that up until just like a few years ago when I finally stopped taking my medicine, and like all of that went away.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, maybe it's that.
You're kidding. You only recently
I swear.
Oh my God.
And my doctor.
How old are you?
How old was I?
Yeah. No, how old are you now?
I'm 22.
Oh my God, you're a baby. Okay. I felt like you were older. You're so mature. Not that you look older, but I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you were like later 20s, because you're very mature. You've done some really amazing Instagram stories about HIV and stuff. But anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. So go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yeah, and then it was like when I went to college, and I stopped taking it because I was depressed. Like, I didn't feel good emotionally or mentally. But then I started feeling physically better, and they kept being like, well, your viral load's going up and your CD4 is going down, so you can't feel all that much better. And I'm like, but I don't have headaches every day. I don't have stomach aches every day. I can actually eat without feeling sick. Like, I felt tons better. And then they like guilted me into taking my medicine again. And as soon as I started taking my meds again, all of that came back. So I was like, you either change my meds or I'm not taking it.
Right.
And I argued with my doctor for years, and then she finally put me on a different regimen, and I have no side effects since then.
What do you take now?
I take Proscobix and Tivicay.
Okay, so you've got one of them is a 2-in-1, and then one of them is just one by itself?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and you just it's a once a day for all three?
I'm supposed to take it twice a day, but I did my little self-advocacy and compromised with my doctor, because I was like, look, ever since you put me on this, I'm undetectable. My CD4 is fine. You stress me out telling me I need to take it every day or something bad is going to happen. I'm fine. So why can't we compromise and I can take it once a day? And she was like, all right, that's fine. She was like, as long as it's working and your blood work is fine, then obviously what you're doing is okay.
It's working. So, look at you,
yeah.
Dr. Brenda. And what is, are you Brenda? Emily's not your last name, right?
No, I don't it's my middle name.
You don't use but you are Brenda. Sometimes I think that you're Emily, and I'm like, no, it's Brenda. But then
I get that a lot, and I'm not sure why. People do tell me I look like an Emily. So
you can be Emily, sure. Yeah, and then I thought there's an A between for your Instagram name. It's Brenda A. Emily. I thought maybe the A was a middle name, and I'm like, I've never heard of Emily as a last name, but it's your.
Some people do think it is, though. I don't know. I kind of like it as my last name, but
yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay, so I know people really want to know. Really, this is the stuff that everybody wants to know.
Okay.
Clearly, you knew you had HIV, and clearly you're a pretty girl, and I'm sure that you had, lots of boys wanting to talk to you. So how did you deal with HIV and dating?
I didn't. I pushed them as far away from me as possible. Like, even in high school, like, I had friends that knew and people knew and stuff. It wasn't like a public thing, but people talked and whatever. And to me, they were just rumors. Like, I'm like, prove it. Like,
so you didn't ever let anybody know in high school that you were positive?
I told my friends. Like, I had close friends that I told. So it was kind of like a thing that some people knew, but I wasn't out about it. Like, I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't like actually telling people.
Right.
It was just like, if I felt like I could trust somebody, then I told them.
So you
but when it came to boys, if they like really, really, really pursued me, in a way, I'm gonna be totally honest, I almost use it as a way to get them to leave me alone. Like,
so
because I was just so terrified, like the self-stigma, I was so terrified of myself.
Yourself,
I didn't want to let anybody near me. So I was like, look, this is why you can't get close to me. I'm HIV positive. You don't want this. Leave me alone. Like, and that was what I did. And I sabotaged everything. And
oh my, did you really think that you were a danger to anybody?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
In what way? Like sharing food, drinks? Like, in what way?
No, just
or
sexually.
Just sexually?
Like,
you really thought that you'd transmit?
And the thing I realized after I did that whole thing, my Instagram story about ways that you can contract it or not contract it, especially from women. And I said, like, oh, I didn't realize this stuff until like the past year. And then I thought about it, and I remembered I was a freshman in high school, and we were on this topic in health class, and I brought this up to my health teacher. Like, I knew, I was like, but women don't transmit it because this, and reason, and, like, guys have penises, and it can't go inside the penis. And, like, I just remember my whole class staring at me, and my health teacher being like, none of this makes sense, and I don't know what you're saying. You're wrong. And, like, ever since then, I just shut up about it. Like, I was like, okay, you told me I'm wrong, so I'm wrong. And I'm like, I knew this all along, but I let people, like, make me doubt myself.
Well, I find it very interesting that for me, I get immediately, like, the comments on YouTube are always like, well, was the person that gave it to you into drugs or were they bisexual? That's the first thing they ask. I get that all the time. But then they throw comments at Eric, my boyfriend, and say, what are you, crazy? You guys don't use condoms? I mean, like, they're not putting the connection together. Like, why are you thinking, like, where do you think the guys are that are getting it and giving it to women? Why would Eric be at risk? So anyways, I mean, I've already talked about it a million times. Eric was exposed to me for a year and he's negative. And I know so many women that have experienced the same. So yeah, exactly. It can't go through skin. And then somebody wrote to me and they said, well, what if the woman was positive and had her period, and then, sorry, Owen, but you're right here. My son's right here. And then they had sex. Like, wouldn't the guy be at more risk? I'm like, it's still the same penis. It's like nothing's different. It's like it still can't get through. Blood doesn't get through. Nothing gets through that. It's skin. So there has to be an open, broken mucous membrane for it to get in.
And that usually doesn't happen in male and female sex, like heterosexual sex. Like, there's no reason for the tip of the penis to be tearing. Like, there's no reason for it. There's, people, honestly, people are always shocked. Like, I'm going to admit it. Like, I don't really use condoms. Like, I don't.
Okay.
But I'm undetectable.
You brought it up. Now I can ask
it. Like, I don't. And I kind of leave it up to the guy. Like, I'm like, if you're comfortable with it, cool. If you want to use it as an extra precaution, that's cool with me too.
So you've been able to explain it to people and, like, or just, I don't know, like, what are the reactions when you tell somebody I'm positive and you know that they're, you know, you're into them or whatever? Like, how has it been? Oh my God, I'm assuming not every time has gone well, or has it?
It's gone really well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. People need to hear
guys are just super, like, they're super cool about it. And I don't know if it's just because they are just really into sex or what, but, like, I've never had a guy react negatively. Like,
that is freaking amazing. Oh my God, I'm so happy to hear that. You don't even know how many people need to hear that. Like, that's the best news ever. I'm so honestly surprised. Like, I assume that you must have had some guys that ran away screaming or something, but That's so.
And I'm sure that there have been some guys, once they find out, are like, you know what, never mind, blah, blah, blah. But it's never been, like, an explicit, like, oh, you know what, I think I'm going to pass because you.
Wow. How did you tell them? How do you tell them? Like, and you must have a way of saying it that you just are so calm about it, and they're.
And that's it. I feel like you have to be calm and you have to be confident, because the second you start freaking out, they feel like there's something to freak out about. So I just say, you know, I have this. I was born with it. I've lived with it my whole life. I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm on my medicine. I take it every day. This is what it does, and this makes it so that I can't transmit the virus to you. If they're still kind of hesitant about that, I go into a little bit of like, well, I'm a woman and you're a man, and so it's harder anyway. And I give them all of those statistics and those facts and stuff. But usually I never really have to, like, it never really goes that far. Like, usually when I just say I'm on medicine, I'm undetectable, my last viral load was blah, 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 blah. I still am. They're cool with that. Like.
But you said it really wasn't until the last year that you felt like you were definitely not a threat at all? Or was it you equals you? I mean...
It was you equals you.
Yeah.
So it was actually you equals you and a terrible experience. I think I told you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us again.
Okay, so I, like, lost my virginity through assault. Like, I'll
That's
just be honest.
And now I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I really, because I was so terrified of myself, like, expected the dude, when he found out that I had HIV afterwards, consent aside, whatever, all of that stuff, really, really, really thought that he was going to come back positive. And he didn't. And I was like, so he did this really awful thing to me, not wearing a condom, because who rapes people with a condom on? That's kind of weird.
Right.
And, like, I really expected him to be positive, and he wasn't. And I was like, oh, so I'm not a threat? Like, I really thought I was a threat, and I wasn't, so I guess I'm not. And then I started reading about you equals you more and the actual science, looking at the studies.
But your doctor never told you about being undetectable and that you don't have
doctors? No. Mm-mm. Even my current doctor.
She told you your partners needed to wear a condom, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
She told me there's always a chance.
Right. And so what have you talked to her or enlightened her about you equals you?
I've tried to mention it. I tried to mention
the hard conversation,
and it's just always, well, you should still use condoms. I'm like, but boys don't want to use like, they don't, and I don't care. It's like I said, I leave it up to them. Yeah,
it's there. I mean, yeah, I agree. Same here, and it's not necessary. I mean, you have to think about if they say it's totally safe for men to have anal sex with men without a condom, which is the most risky sex that there is. If that's okay for you equals you, well, my gosh. Of course
exactly. Okay. When we're already pretty low on the chances bar, like there's
we're already like at the very bottom. So it's Right. So how did you find out about you equals you? Like, did you see something you must have seen something on social media?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was already following, well, I don't remember exactly, but I am very close with Sean Stroop, and I actually work for the Sero Project.
Oh, okay, I know that name.
Yeah, so I feel like I heard about it from him or something, and then I followed, like, Bruce and Peter and, like, all of them on social media. So I feel like I just saw it on social media, and that was kind of what made me disclose publicly anyway, because I was like, I am okay, like, and I want people to know that I'm okay. So you equals you made it easier for you to be public. Mm-hmm. That's wow. Yeah. So okay, this is refreshing my memory. The day that the CDC signed on to you equals you was the day that I publicly disclosed. Oh my God! How did that? Okay, so that was like in November of 2017, around there. I think it might have been October, but I know it was right around that time. So how did your friends and everybody on was it Instagram that you did it on? Facebook and Instagram. Wow. How did everybody take it? I've literally never gotten one bad message since then. Wow. It's amazing.
Just
Yeah.
beware if you do YouTube, that'll change.
Yeah, I know it'll change, but I'm happy for now. Like
Yeah, I'm super happy to hear that you've had all positive messages also. Yeah, Facebook is definitely, people really don't typically say anything because you know who they are, but Instagram, I haven't had anything bad. It's all YouTube. It's just YouTube
Right.
because it's so anonymous, so people just say whatever they want. I was just backtracking a little bit. I'm curious to know, were you ever envious of your brother, or did you ever hold any like animosity or jealousy towards him because he didn't have it also? Or like, why me and why didn't it happen to you also, or the other way around?
Interesting enough, I never felt any of that towards my brothers, but I have felt it towards my sister.
Really?
But
You don't even see?
yeah. And
Why?
I think it's because I just imagine what it's like to like go out to the bar or like go out and meet a boy and not have to have that conversation.
Deal with it. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. Interesting. You don't talk to her though, right? You just imagine.
No, like we
Yeah.
like just like on social media and stuff, but like we're not close. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And so now that you've come out and you're open about it on your social media, obviously, I'm seeing all these messages go up. I'm trying to
I
read.
see a lot asking me if I'm scared of other STIs. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't always been smart myself because I've always kind of thought that I got one, so, you know, why would I get another?
Right.
You know, I'm only 22, guys. Give me some time to learn. But yeah, but I have gone through experiences, and like I'm pretty straight up because I know myself. So like when I sleep with somebody, I'm very straightforward, and I'm like, do you get tested? Do you have anything? When was the last time you get tested? I don't know if that turns them off, but I do that. And if I feel like I'm not satisfied with that answer, then there are instances where I suggest using condoms. And if they don't, then I'm not really into it. So yeah, like I'm not saying that I never use them. I do, but it's
I love that you're like the one kind of like calling the shots. I love that. You're like, everyone would think because you have HIV that you're like kind of like biting your nails, hoping that they'll accept you. And it's like, you're like, no, sorry, I'm the one who decides here. I love that. It's so great.
Yeah. And like people, yeah, somebody said people do lie. They do lie, but I feel like you can kind of tell when somebody's not really caring about themselves and are lying about it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And so how has the, I'm assuming you have people reaching out to you. I mean, I've been trying to tell people about you, and I'm just wondering like how the advocacy is going. Do you have people contacting you on a pretty regular basis, wanting to like, you know, people fearing that they have it, or people that are newly diagnosed?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of those messages, and I don't really know how to handle them because I'm not a doctor. Like,
right.
I can only help you so much with your anxiety around it, but at the end of the day, like, it's really important to just go get tested. Nobody can diagnose you except a test and a doctor.
Exactly.
So if you're really that afraid of it, you need to seek professional help. But otherwise, people just reach out to tell me that like they're either newly diagnosed or something that they want to learn about because they, you know, had a scare or this or that, and you know they came across me and just the knowledge has like really helped them. So that's cool.
I just thought of something else. Do you feel like the stigma is different toward a woman who contracts HIV through sex, like myself, versus somebody who's born with it? Do you feel like you're maybe more accepted because you were born with it and you didn't have any option?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I actually try to change people's perceptions of that. Like, when I talk about it, I have a lot of people saying, or like when I talk about like the few negative experiences that I have had, I have people say like, well, it's really unfair because it's not like you did anything to get it. Like, you were just born with it. And I kind of correct them and say like, you kind of look like saying it like that kind of looks at HIV as a punishment. Like, you do something and then you get it as a consequence. And like, that's not true. It's, you don't have to do something bad. And just because you do something out of promiscuity or drug use, like, it's not a punishment. Like, it's just something that happens afterwards.
Totally. It's just, yeah, it's a virus. It's so human, you know?
Right.
Speaking of, what do you think of, I'm sure you see this stuff. Do you see I get so much, well, I just consider it spam, but so many messages about the government man-made HIV and it's not real and it's all like a conspiracy theory. And what do you have to say to those people?
Just read a history. Like, there's real history, guys. Like,
I know.
I don't even know what to say to those people. Like, I don't.
I know. I know. It makes me crazy. They actually show up in my spam folders. What do you think about the people who push Dr. Sebi and like the black seed oil and all that?
I had one person. I've only gotten one message about like natural or whatever homeopathic. I don't know what they call it, remedies and treatments. And I mean, bottom line is that's not a treatment. It's just not. Like I had in my own little circle. I had somebody ask genuinely one time. We were in like a little med workshop, and somebody asked, you know, like, I smoke a lot of weed because I have all of these side effects, like my stomach and my appetite and like all of this stuff. And like smoking makes me feel better. So if it makes me feel better, like why do I have to take my medicine? And the short answer for that is nothing is going to treat the virus except for antiretrovirals. There's literally nothing else in the world that is going to do that for you.
Right.
No amount of like natural herbs or like anything. It doesn't do the same thing. So those things, they don't work. There's always a reason why, like Charlie Sheen, he went off of his medicine thinking that this was going to do something. And guess what? He's back on his medicine.
Yes.
Because it doesn't work.
Exactly. And the people who fall for it are at risk of like, you know, not being able to take the meds that maybe they were taking before because they built up a resistance. I mean, it's just not smart. And I can't believe how many people argue with me about this. I don't typically argue with people about it, but anybody that I've taken on about it and just said, look, that's like a scam. Please do not fall for that. And then they give me all the reasons why. I'm like, wow, like it's really like people really fall for this. It's crazy. So yeah, if you're HIV positive, the only thing that works is antiretrovirals, and we're really lucky that we have them today. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah. So are you currently dating anybody?
No.
Not at the moment. What do you do for a living? Are you out of school?
I only went to school for a semester, so I've been out of school for 5 years now.
My daughter only did my daughter is kind of going back to school after doing nothing after the first semester out of high school, but then she felt lost kind of right now. So how's it been only doing a semester? What did you end up doing?
I just did, honestly, this is going to sound cliche. I did a lot of soul searching. I just worked different jobs trying to figure myself out. I was going through a lot of mental health stuff, a lot of like identity crisis, just with, you know, being HIV positive, being adopted, like all that stuff. I was going through a lot. But like the past, again, like year or so with You Equals You, and somebody was talking about lipo earlier, and I have lipo, so I got face fillers and like all of that stuff. Like I've literally just spent the past 5 years like literally rebuilding my life. So right now I work.
Wasting? Did you have facial wasting?
Yeah, I've had it since I was like a toddler. Like I grew up, and that was hard too, because people in school, like I was so gaunt and like you could see every bone in my face. I was so skinny, and people would make AIDS jokes and tell me that I looked like I had AIDS. Nobody knew, like it wasn't a public thing, but people would say this stuff. So I would get really upset because I'm like, they're right, like it's a secret, but they like can see this and I don't want them to know. So I actually got on a study down in Florida, a really great doctor down there. He was actually an HIV doctor in New York City during the epidemic, like the plague years. And then he, like in more recent years, realized that he had all of these long-term surviving patients who had lipo and the wasting, and it was really affecting their health more than HIV was, because they're perfectly healthy, but they just had, like, they have this really low self-esteem and this like really more heightened stigma against themselves because they have that AIDS look. So he actually went back and got certified and learned how to do cosmetic fillers so that he could help his HIV patients and fill out their faces and like bring more confidence back to them.
For those that don't know, when you say lipo, you're not talking about sucking out fat. It's lipodystrophy?
No, lipodystrophy, yeah.
Okay.
So it's an abnormal redistribution of fat. So there's hypertrophy and lipoatrophy. Lipoatrophy is the loss of fat. So you usually see that in the face, arms, legs, and the butt. And then hypertrophy, or the buildup of fat, is usually in like the breast, the stomach, and some people get it on their back.
Okay. And so what causes that? And like somebody was asking me that the other day, and for me, I've seen it in men that when I go to like the conferences, I'll see it in the men who have had HIV longer, and I'll see the waist and the face. And I assumed it had something to do with the medication, but I don't know.
It is the medication. So you really only see it in the earliest meds, and most of them are the protease inhibitors. But they don't know actually why it causes it. They think that it's just a bad reaction that people have to that class of drugs, and it's just a side effect. They really don't know what causes lipodystrophy, but it is a side effect of medication, and it's not reversible. Once it's done, it's done.
Okay, but you were able to get fillers. I can't see in your face, so I mean, you must have had like everything filled back in.
Yeah, I went to. Do you know Mark King?
Yes, he's the only other person I know. Okay,
we went to the same doctor. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's so funny. He just told me that at USCA that he had that done, and I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, his videos are, because he had it done a few years before me. So his videos are actually what made me comfortable, because it was the same doctor and he looked great. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to do this. Like, I trust it. So he's the reason why I did it. Yeah.
That must have helped your self-esteem a lot.
Oh, you don't even know. Like, I would like, even getting ready for school in the morning, I would stare at myself in the bathroom for a good hour and just like completely numb out, because I felt so awful about the way that I looked. And I would just literally look in the mirror and think AIDS. And like now it's like I don't spend any time, like I don't even think about it. I like my face. I'm like, I don't care. So
wow. And you didn't even grow up at the time. Like I was 18 in 1988. Like, so that was and I lived right by San Francisco, so I was like very well aware of what was happening. But that's not your generation, but you still had this association with AIDS. Look, even being born in 1996, is that what you said you were born?
Yeah, 96, yep.
That's crazy. So it just shows managed to stay all the way through, because you never saw it as something that wasn't too much of a big deal. You were told to keep it a secret. It's like always just kind of continued.
Right. And that was the hard part, is like my battle my whole life has always been the stigma, because again, like aside from the side effects and stuff, to me, I thought everybody had stomach aches. I thought everybody had headaches all the time. Like I wasn't thinking HIV, but then people would ask me like, why are you so skinny? Like, do you eat food? Do you have an eating disorder? And like, there was just always this like connotation, sitting in health class and hearing the AIDS jokes and like all of that stuff. Like that was what made living with HIV hard. It was never actually having HIV. Like I just went to the doctor and I did my blood work and my parents gave me my medicine and that was it.
Wow. That's yeah. I mean, that's what I always tell people too, that it's basically just a pill. And, you know, when you're on the other side of the fence with it, although you would not know because you've always had it, but you know, living 45 years of my life not with it, and then now I didn't realize I was just going to feel normal. So I feel normal, other than when I was sick. But okay, so yeah, something else I just thought about you going to school. Did you ever think of like saying anything to the teachers during health when they would bring up HIV and AIDS? Because you probably felt more educated than they were. I mean,
I always wanted to. Yeah. And like I said, I was like a freshman in high school and I tried correcting my teacher one time and bringing up the fact that like women don't transmit HIV. And they literally looked at me like I had a dozen heads and was like, that's not true. What are you saying? Like, you sound like a crazy person. And then I was like, all right, I can only correct people about HIV for so long until people are like, why do you know this? Like, you're 12 years old.
Why are you an expert? I'm really into topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, let me see if there's any questions.